What is a HDMI splitter and why do you need one? This is one version of a HDMI splitter. This one is a bit different because it needs power. I've done another one which is like a splitter. It doesn't need power. This is one version of a HDMI splitter. You basically have one HDMI on one side. You have two HDMIs on the other side, female, which allow you to plug in HDMI cables into here. Why would you want to do something like that? Well, a lot of people normally want to play games on a console and plug in this to their computer to record their gameplay. But what normally happens is if you put a direct cable in, it's not going to be great because you're going to have a slight delay. So the main goal of this is you plug one into your computer to record, you plug another one into a monitor which you look at so you don't get delays. So that's why it comes in handy. This is one type you can get. There are a few types in these available. Here's another one, and this one's slightly different. It's like a little box. But the good thing about this is if you already have HDMI cables, you simply plug one in here. You can have a longer cable as opposed to trying to get an extension for that, because that's just one length obviously there. So you need to get an extension here. Where can you use this? Well, at the moment that HDMI is an input, so we can input into a source where you've got two outputs. So where would we want to output? Well, firstly I want to output into a HDMI capture card, which means I need a HDMI cable from the output here to the input there. So think about this. This is the camera or the games console. Signal is coming out, your picture, your gameplay coming out into here, and you can have two places you can watch it. The first place that watches it is a HDMI capture card to record the gameplay, so it goes into that one. The second one can go into a TV, so you can watch the gameplay in real live, as in how it is, no delays, no latency. So that's the use for it. Now let's plug it up and see how that comes into play. Right now this version allows me to do that via HDMI, but I might need a converter here to convert this HDMI because not all HDMIs fit in all devices. So here you'll see if I'm using my camera in place of the games console like the PS65, you can put in a mini HDMI. So first thing I'm going to need is an adapter to make my HDMI a mini HDMI. So what I'm showing you here is a few sizes. So you'll see HDMI, that's like a full HDMI size. A normal games console fits in your TV. That size is the mini, and then that size is the micro. My camera actually takes the micro. So what I'm going to do is female to male, plug it in, and as if by magic I've made my big HDMI a small one, and then that will fit into my camera just like this. Obviously I'm using a camera here, but you might have a games console, so you might not need that adapter. But it's worth keeping in mind, if you have all these adapters, when you come to use them, you've got an option. Like I just pulled out 5 or 6, and now I can do what I want to do. Otherwise I'll have to go online, order it and wait a couple of days, or if you got Amazon Prime, next day or same day possibly. Okay, so now here that signal is coming out of the camera, and I've got two places I can send that signal. Where do I want to send it? First thing I want to do is get a HDMI cable like this one here and plug one in here. There. So that one can go. That's one end. That's one end of it. There's the other end. The other end goes into the capture card. So where people get confused is the input and the output. So in this it says input, so we need a signal going into this card. Remember, the camera is sending a signal out. It's going out of here, into here, which is a good way of doing it. If I flip that around, it won't work because we're trying to send an in signal and an out, if that makes sense. So that goes into my computer, HDMI capture card like that. Okay, so I've plugged that in. I'm gonna not turn that on. I'm gonna set my camera up to send a signal out. But remember here, I've got room for another output. I'm gonna plug this HDMI into here. So that camera is sending out one signal along here. The splitter allows me to see the same thing. You can't extend displays. So if you've got monitors, you can't extend the display. It'll just be a duplicate view. So I've got two same sources split out over the splitter. One goes into my computer to record. One is here. Where do I put that? Just there. That's a monitor, display, whatever you're gonna call it. HDMI goes in the back of the computer, monitor. So I've turned the monitor on. Let's go to HDMI. Okay, here we go. HDMI 1. Let me turn this on. Oh, look at that beauty, mate. Okay. So now to confirm, the camera is currently here, and what we've done there is we've used the monitor as the one output source. What I mean by that is, there it is, one of those goes to my monitor, which shows you a live feed. So there, that's a live view. We're using the camera in place of your games console, PS65. Use that, play your game, watch it on the monitor, and because you're using a HDMI splitter, that games console will send one signal to your computer to record via the HDMI capture card, which is HDMI to USB. So that's one sorted out, and the other HDMI is to HDMI in your monitor. So you've got zero lag, you can play the game watching this monitor, your computer will record the game, and that'll be fine. If you want to watch it on your computer, you can do, but it's going to be a bit of a delay. It's not only synced up. Remember, it just splits the signal, it can't extend it, so you can't have two monitors. If you're doing gaming, you can have one view of it. This one is a bit different because it needs power. So first of all, the most important thing is it needs power. So on these, you can see I've got HDMI, and I've got some lights. On this side, I've got USB. So let's plug in a little USB power onto this, just like that. And then let's power that up. So you see the red light comes on for power. Now, we're gonna use a camera. I'm gonna live stream with a camera. I want the camera to go into my recording software to go to live streaming via YouTube, Twitch, Reddit, wherever you're live streaming. And I also want to see a picture of that on a big screen. So that's where this comes in. If you've got a PS65 and you're playing gaming, you want to record gameplay and then watch the gameplay on a different monitor without the lag. That's where this comes in handy. So they're not expensive. They're a good little trick hack to have. HDMI. But let me show you the actual setup. So for example, this camera can be a camera or it can be your PS65. So we're going to hold that. We're going to say, open that. There is my HDMI. In your computer games console, you'll have a HDMI out. Same concepts. So just replace this with your games console. The first thing I need is, mine's is a mini micro HDMI. So I need an adapter. Actually have a cable with an adapter attached. Okay, so we plug that in. So that can be a small micro, mini, or a normal HDMI. You plug it into your games console or your camera. You have the other end from that cable. That will go into the input. So the side where it's one HDMI. So let's plug that in. Like that. So that goes in. Camera signal comes out the lead, goes into this. This will split it into two. One goes to your computer to record, one goes to your monitor to watch it. I've got cables here, we'll do that. So hopefully you don't get confused with the amount of cables I've got here. But now I've got another cable here. That one goes in this side, out, and that goes into my monitor, which I'll plug in a second. I've got another output here, which I put another HDMI into. There you go. Okay. So two outs, one in. Games console or your camera is going in, two are coming out. The other side of that one is here. I have a HDMI capture card. I'm using all my Elgatos to actually record this. So this is my cheap one that I'm showing you with. Now here, I plug it in. That HDMI has become a USB. That USB goes into your computer. So plug that in there. So that goes into your OBS software. Sort out the software. If you're not familiar with that, I did a whole video explaining the OBS setup. But just include it, add it as a video capture device, start recording it. The other end here goes into your monitor. Turning my camera on. So by turning my camera on, it will send a signal out of here. So that could be your games console, you're playing your game. Let's do this. Now we need to get our monitor up. So the HDMI goes in to your monitor. You can turn it off and turn it on again just to initiate into HDMI mode. There we go. So I put it in HDMI 1 first, and my monitor set to HDMI 2. So I took it out, put it into HDMI 2. Here is the camera showing me a live feed. So in this example, what does that mean for you? It means that was your games console, you're playing your game. This monitor will be in front of you. You can watch the gameplay on your monitor while you're playing, no lag, straight as it comes out of the signal of the games console. You've got a secondary one going out to your computer. And when that's plugged in, you can record the gameplay on your computer without any lag at all. Like a nice little hack. Works good, I think. You can see that. Yeah. And that's not in clean HDMI mode yet at the moment. So you're seeing the extra monitors. So that's using the other one. So I've shown you both now. That one is probably better because it's got USB power on it as well. The other one's like a direct feed. So you could probably go longer distance with this one. I've got the current cables I'm using here are about 5 meters is the longest one. So I know it works with those because I've got it here. Any longer than that, it might be a questionable thing. But if you want to let me know if you want me to test them, I'll get longer cables and test it. That will explain the entire process of how HDMI splitters work. They're splitting the signal into two, so you've got two outputs. That's what it's doing. Nothing fancy. They're nice and cheap. Pick them up and you can play gameplay without any lag on your PS65.